It must be coming out of your own breath because there's no alcohol in here.
I think that's don't start insulting my partner.
I'm just saying, like, you know, like,
really want to start going there?
you're saying that I'm drinking and I'm not drinking.
Recovering alcoholic and you're gonna accuse me of drinking?
Yeah, he's recovering, man. No, he's very
How the f*** is he a cop then?
Hey, shit happens, alright? So anyways,
Did he just leave?
yeah, he got out.
Is he crying?
And that is what you get when people try to say that you did something, and the way they think you respond is by imagining how they feel if they were in your shoes.
First they hated him, now they hate both of you.
Well, I think we're seeing an antibody reaction from those who are receiving the wasteful and fraudulent money.
They're being exposed.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be exposed.
I'll tell you a lesson I learned at PayPal. You know who complained the loudest, and the quickest and the loudest and with the most amount of righteous indignation? The fraudsters. That's who complained first, loudest, and they would generally have this immense overreaction. That's how we knew they were the fraudsters. Mm-hmm. That's how we knew.
Who doesn't want some weird Elon Musk suck up searching through your personal private data? This is your fight. Your fight, my fight, our fight, and we will win this fight. Are you ready to say no to Elon Musk? We will fight it out in Congress. We will fight it out in the courts. We will fight it out across this country, and I promise you, we will win.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine somebody says that somebody is using your personal information when so many other companies like Google and Netflix and so on might have misused your personal information and nobody got angry, but the person that wants to help government use the money properly that you're getting from the citizens are like, no, we don't want that. You're looking into my personal, what? Now you care about that?
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president.
It's such a racist
There are
question.
some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President, I
love it. You know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And
Excuse me, but to say that, what you said is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
Just like the police, they project, and a lot of times certain reporters don't even ask questions in good faith.
Mayor Adams, why don't you take questions from the press?
Just make a pad for us, that's all.
Why don't you take questions from the press?
Y'all liars. Okay.
What are we lying about exactly?
Yeah, what are we lying about exactly?
Hey, that's Mayor Eric Adams of New York. Maybe he's projecting. Then again, corporate media does a lot of projection and a lot of double downing, never admitting their mistake even if they're wrong.
You know, I actually wish that the government would extort us more. My name is Beck, my pronouns are they, them, and Elon is he's a threat to democracy. You know, I'm concerned. It is in the nation's best interest to continue being extorted by the government through taxation, and it is frankly none of our business where they're spending that money. I saw a report that Elon found $4.7 trillion of untraceable spending from the Treasury Department. Who does he think he is? It is none of our business. You don't understand. Government transparency is a threat to democracy. $2.7 trillion in improper Medicare and Medicaid payments? No. Our healthcare system is literally perfect. They said that they found 20 million Americans over the age of 100 receiving Social Security benefits. Assuming that that is fraud is frankly a threat to democracy. USAID is not a money laundering organization, and if you ask questions, you are a threat to democracy. No, listen, I hear you. The Pentagon failed their last 7 audits in a row.
To this day!
But if I mess up on my taxes, I can go to jail.
To this day!
And that's okay. It's not a double standard. It's not. You know, at the end of the day, I hope and I pray that they get Elon out of there. They need to get him out of there and then just get back to extorting us through taxation without transparency. It's democracy. That is how we save it.
I know that this is satire, but at the same time, it is what's happening, and that's why it sounds like satire. Venga, dilo. Remember to subscribe.
I cannot believe that President Trump is keeping all his promises. Like, I really thought that, like, he was gonna bullshit a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. He ain't bullshit. I am so overwhelmed on how wonderful he is busting in the door. Yeah, and on top of that, you know what? This motherfucker loves us. You know what? He's got some eggs coming in, y'all. He got eggs coming in, y'all. He's having some eggs imported, okay? So, you know what I'm saying? Hey, at least he's keeping his promises and he's doing a little extra. So we got some tons of eggs supposed to be coming in. I don't know where he's, Google it. It's on the news. But I think that's awesome. Big Daddy taking care of his babies. Oh, I was a Trump baby. Yes, I am. God, I love him.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why people like him. Not because he's a politician, not because he's rich. It's because he keeps his promises.
Is it weird that I dream about you?
I think I better go.
Okay.
After we've discriminated against, deported, or disparaged all the immigrants and the gay and lesbian and transgender people, the developmentally disabled, the women, and the minorities.
What?
Once we've ostracized our neighbors and betrayed our friends, after that, when the problems we started with are still there staring us in the face, what comes next? All the atrocities of human history lurk in the answer to that question.
Fear was not enough when protecting the immigrants. So now they're going after the woman, the disabled, what else more? The gays? I'm like, really, bruh?
Yeah, boy.
Hey, man, you're giving Trump way more voters than you think. Because all he has to do is keep his promises.
Дивіться, я коли чув, і раніше чув, і сьогодні ми чуємо від Сполучених Штатів Америки, що Америка дала Україні сотні мільярдів, 177, якщо сказати більш точно. Така звучала точна цифра, яку підтримували або голосував Конгрес, тощо різні організації. Дивіться, я як президент воюючої країни вам говорю, ми отримали більше 75. Тобто 100 мільярдів з цих 177 або 200, говорять навіть деякі люди, ми ніколи не отримували. І це важливо. Бо ми говоримо про конкретні речі, бо ми отримали це не грошима, а зброєю. Ми зброєю отримали на 70 з чимось мільярдів. Є навчання, тренування, є додатковий транспорт, є не тільки ціну на зброю, були гуманітарні програми, соціальні тощо. Але коли говорять, що Україна під час війни отримала 200 мільярдів на підтримку армії тощо, це неправда. Я не знаю, де всі ці гроші.
I'll be honest, that's a good question. Can you imagine America stole the money that they sent to Ukraine? I mean, it sounds so gaslighting that it actually might work.
Question but statement saying like you're white, you're privileged, you're Christian. How can you argue these things when you don't understand what like an oppressed individual is going through?
Thank you for your question. So white privilege is a myth and a lie and should be completely destroyed. It's rooted in racism. It is a racist idea. It is a racist idea. The best people in America are not white people. They're Asian Americans and Indian Americans. So why don't they ever talk about Asian American privilege? Asian Americans were widely discriminated against in the 1940s and 50s. We treated them horribly and put them in internment camps. Then through a series of decades of making good choices, they've now become the richest per capita subracial group in America. I never hear about Asian American privilege. I never hear about people getting so upset that all the Asian Americans are getting the PhDs or the degrees or all the good jobs in California, yet they're trying to target white people. Here comes the basis of it. If they're trying to balkanize this country and break us into different subracial groups, that is the definition of racism.
You know what's even more interesting? The people that are criticizing white people, if they have to live with Asian Americans or Indian Americans, they would say that is slavery, how they're treating their kids.
The year is 2015. Trump is running for president and I'm hating every minute of it. I find out that Trump won very late at night. I cry hysterically, thinking the world is about to f***ing end. Because media brainwashing. My husband drops a bomb. He secretly went and voted for Trump. He is the reason. So then we got in a big ass fight, and I was like, you don't even know anything about politics. What the fuck are you doing? And he was like, okay. And then he went and started learning a whole bunch more about politics and social issues and like the actual facts behind everything. And then he was like, let's have a conversations about this. Like, I'm starting to change my mind on a lot of things. And I was like, who the fuck are you? And he was like, well, I'm just changing my mind on things. It's okay. He's like, I just want to be able to civilly talk about this. I don't want to change your mind. It's fine. So we started talking, and I started realizing I didn't know anything. At first, I would just get mad, storm off. And then at some point, I was like, okay, I really need to actually learn what I'm talking about. And the more I learned, the more I realized how misled I was.
You have to be very mature if you can admit your own ignorance, because that way you can build character. And I'm so happy you had a husband that listened to you and told you, I don't want to change your mind. And she went to do her own research and realized, uh-oh.
That's an interesting way of putting. That makes sense.
The problem that South Africans have right now is that we don't understand white people. White people are inferior species to us. We are Homo sapiens. They've got Neanderthal blood in them. This is the science. And this is not science that was done by black people. It was done by them. You understand? Abu Clive W. Lewis, they were eugenicists. They studied this and they realized that they're inferior to blacks. The white population is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. For us, it makes no sense to descend into the savagery that they have. Whatever land that they're holding on to, either way, their numbers are dwindling. Whatever leadership that they had is dying out as well. And you know about wealth disappearing after the third generation that is passed down to, you know. So they're on the last generation. We're dealing with the weakest whites that the world has ever seen. So we expect to have Ubuntu, humanity. Unfortunately, by the strictest definition of what a human being is, white people are just below human beings. You are negotiating with an animal, a wild dog that you're trying to train to be tamed, to be ubobi, you who guards your house. You can never do that. So we're expecting Ubuntu from them. We're like, you stole our land, you butchered our people and everything else, and we just want justice. We're not out for your blood. We're not chopping off your heads. We're not doing anything. Why don't you guys understand that? Why don't you guys have Ubuntu? Why don't you guys have a heart? They don't, because they're incapable of that. You cannot expect the same behavior of a human being that you're expecting of a dog.
All I know is this is like an African podcast in South Africa where they have a lot of issues right now between black and white people. And I've never seen somebody say, you don't have the empathy to understand us because you act like a dog. I still love you, but I love you like a person loves a dog.
Take my money.
But now let's ask an Americanized South African person that has a white father and a black mother.
I found myself wondering, and this applies to America, and then maybe it'll go to other places in a different way because Finland ties in. Do you think that integration was the right move? Like, and now I'm separating two things because I know in America people are like, well, of course, I mean, there was racism and there was segregation, and I go, yeah, no, I'm separating them. Let's separate someone being oppressed and someone not being able to get a job and someone not being able to get a bank loan. Let's take all of those, the negative things away, because I'll put myself out personally and say, I think whether we're talking about gifted kids who are anomalous, let's say, to the norm, whether we are talking about, and I mean anything that does not fit into a category, I think the part of the reason Finland is able to do it is because, have you been to Finland?
It's very homogeneous.
I've been to Finland. You know who's in Finland? Finnish people. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And because they're all Finnish, there's an idea of like, no, we all head in the same direction. We all know what our actions mean. And that's a really powerful thing I've learned in communicating with other people. When I'm in a room with anyone where we start to tie together multiple things. So if I'm in a room with black people, already there's like an implicit trust because we know what certain actions, words, and vibes mean.
Finally!
And then you're in a room with another African. Already. This person. Now, even if you shout at me, I know what your shout means. The same way an Italian knows what an Italian shout means.
Yeah.
Right? I know I'm prefacing it with a lot because it's a loaded question.
Yes.
But I would love to know if you think integration was the right solution, maybe. on the other side of, you know, what America, of civil rights?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Power!
And I don't think it's actually that controversial when if you understand that segregation and integration weren't the only options. Like those are within those two options, it may seem like integration is the more progressive. Like, of course, we don't want segregation. But again, when you're being integrated into institutions, into a culture that's a supremacist culture, that's a culture that feeds off of hierarchy, that feeds off of insecurity, anxiety, why are we being integrated into that?
Some people say, I have a dream. Do you want integration? No, we want segregation. Because we want people to think just like us so we can grow better in their country.
Don't get me wrong, ako sa kita bong put the fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam turlo keta verdeta welcome.